your bags. We're going on a trip. Next.
So-called magic mushrooms have played their part in America's long, strange trip toward an understanding of mind-altering drugs. Illegal though most of these drugs may be, Faith Saley tells us recent research suggests some of them could have legitimate uses.
Celexa, Effexor, Zoloft, Trazodone.
Ayelet Waldman is no stranger to drugs.
I'm not going to get them all.
Lexapro,
Lexapro, Wellbutrin. Oh my goodness, there you are.
Diagnosed with a mood disorder, this author and mother of four had tried everything.
I was profoundly, profoundly depressed, suicidally depressed.
As bad as it ever had
Never.
gotten in your
I'd never
life?
been like that in my life.
That's when she turned to a drug that might blow your mind.
Kids, Mommy's going to tell you all about the first time she tried acid.
That's right, LSD. In secret, Waldman actually began taking a minuscule amount every 3 days. It's called microdosing, and it's a controversial yet growing trend among the Silicon Valley crowd. But for her, she says, it worked.
You don't hallucinate, you don't see anything unusual, but it just, best way I can describe it, a little more cheerful and a little more effective at work, like a little more productive.
So productive, in fact, she wrote a book about her mind-altering experiment.
Good girl.
And most importantly, her suicidal thoughts disappeared.
Touch.
But there was a catch. After a month, she ran out of the small supply she'd gotten hold of.
Why did you stop microdosing?
Because it's illegal. If it weren't illegal, I would still be doing it.
Taking LSD, even a microdose of it, is still against the law and potentially dangerous. But once upon a time, LSD and psychedelics like it were considered potential wonder drugs. Throughout the 40s, 50s, and into the 60s, scientists studied them to understand mental disorders like schizophrenia and to treat anxiety, depression, even alcoholism.
Oh, excuse me.
But when the drugs left the labs and started hitting the streets, and Timothy Leary preached,
turn on, tune in, and drop out.
the bad trips and even worse headlines that followed changed their reputation. And then,
this nation faces a major crisis in terms of the increasing use of drugs, particularly among our young people.
the Controlled Substance Act led to a more than 3 decades-long ban on all psychedelic research. Since 2003, however, the FDA has allowed for a few clinical trials of illegal hallucinogens, drugs like psilocybin, the psychedelic ingredient found in so-called magic mushrooms. Trials done in a safe, controlled setting, of course. Do not try this at home.
This is the couch where people have the experience on.
This is a very special couch.
It's a magic couch.
In 2016, Tony Bossis of New York University, along with researchers at Johns Hopkins University, published their findings of what a one-time dose of psilocybin can do to treat anxiety and depression in cancer patients.
In this study, anxiety and depression reduced dramatically, immediately after the experience.
I just wanted this terrible daily anxiety to go away.
Dinah Baser beat ovarian cancer back in 2010, but the fear of it returning convinced her to volunteer for the study. In this treatment room, she was given the psilocybin, and her life-changing trip began.
I saw my fear, and it was a black mass under my ribs. It wasn't cancer, it was the fear itself. And it made me so mad. I was furious, and I screamed at it to get out. And as soon as I did that, it was gone.
When the drug wore off, the anxiety about her cancer returning was gone, still is. What remains, she says, is the powerful memory of that symbolic experience.
This medicine they take once is out of their system in a few hours, but it generates a 3 to 4 hour incredible transcendent experience. And it's the memory of that experience that recalibrates how they view life and death and their existence, and it can be very spiritual insights.
If all that sounds a bit far out, scans have shown psychedelics may increase connectivity among different regions of the brain. areas that normally don't communicate with each other.
You know, maybe it's time to take a sober, careful, scientific look at these medicines to revisit. Are they helpful? Are they safe? Are they effective?
With more clinical trials on the horizon, researchers hope to open more minds about the potential of psychedelic drugs, one trip at a time.
Coming up,
15 years ago, do you think you could have done this?
No.
lost and found.
Good day driving today?
Oh, yeah.
Ione and Steve Cooner have been happily married for 42 years.
Here's to you.
But in 2013, they got some shattering news.
She was diagnosed at 57.
And the diagnosis was?
Early onset Alzheimer's.
It was devastating for both of us. You good puppy girl?
For the past 6 years, Steve has watched Ione gradually lose her grasp on much of daily life.
I love the way you did this.
But to his amazement, he has also seen her gain something entirely unexpected.
Tell me about this one first.
Ione has started painting.
Very intense colors. You like intense colors.
Yes.
Something the former dental assistant had never even thought about doing before her illness.
Once I finish one, I want to start another one. And then finish that and start, another one.
This almost seems to be an obsession.
It is her new occupation.
Neurologist Bruce Miller directs the UCSF Memory and Aging Center in San Francisco. He's uncovered an unexpected and remarkable connection between savants and dementia patients who, like Ione, suddenly exhibit new talents.
So they would have trouble communicating, but they could pick up a paintbrush and paint?
Yes, some of the most beautiful art I've ever seen has come out of my patients with degenerative diseases. And over here is painting by Jack.
Dr. Miller's office is a small gallery of his patients' artwork.
And this is somebody also who had never painted before.
Had never even stepped into an art museum.
In his research, Dr. Miller compared brain scans of dementia patients with those of a child savant.
We are seeing this same pattern of loss of function on the left side of the brain, increased function in the right posterior parts of the brain, the parts that allow us to take something visual in our mind and put it on a canvas.
His conclusion, in these rare dementia patients, so-called acquired savants, the disease that destroys some brain areas activates others, unlocking hidden talent.
Wow.
Yes, yes.
It's fairly exciting stuff.
It very much has humanized my patients for me.
Faced with an uncertain future, Ione seems to find solace in her art, and her paintings are still full of life.
15 years ago, do you think you could have done this?
No.
Does the brain ever cease to amaze you?
Never, never, never.
One increasingly popular method of mental relaxation leaves psychologist Adam Grant out in the cold.
I'm being stalked by meditation evangelists. They approach like a football fan attacking a keg at a tailgate party. They ask, which method of meditation do you use? When I admit that I don't meditate, they're stunned. It's like I've just claimed the earth is flat. How could you not meditate? I have nothing against it. I just find it dreadfully boring. But Steve Jobs meditated. Yeah, and he also did LSD. You want me to try that too? Meditation is exploding in popularity. Schools and workplaces are offering classes. But a recent study concluded that the science is spotty. And an analysis of 47 meditation programs in a major medical journal found zero evidence that meditation was better than exercise or relaxation. And consider this, if your goal is to reduce stress, remember the stress response can be healthy. It's a signal that you're facing a challenge, and it can help you rise to that challenge. When psychologists told anxious people it was perfectly normal to feel stressed before an impromptu speech, they relaxed physiologically. And if your goal is to become more mindful, there are other ways to focus on the present. In a world filled with distractions, I think we need more planned laziness. That just means being thoughtful about how you spend your downtime. There's evidence that watching TV can restore your energy, but channel surfing doesn't do the trick. You actually need to immerse yourself in a show, which is why I only turn on the TV when I already know what I want to watch. So if you want to become less stressed or more mindful, you don't have to sit and say, You can reflect, write in a journal, chat with a thoughtful friend, get quality sleep and exercise, read a novel, listen to podcasts. Meditation isn't snake oil, but if you're judging people for not meditating, then it's pretty clear that meditation hasn't made you mindful yet. The next time you meet people who choose not to meditate, just take a deep breath and let us relax in peace.
Head to our website for our Sunday morning calendar. Now to Margaret Brennan in Washington for a look at what's ahead on Face the Nation. Good morning, Margaret.
Good morning. We'll have the latest on the hirings and firings at the Trump White House. How tough will it be to get a new Secretary of State and CIA director in place?
Thank you, Margaret. And next week here on Sunday Morning.
Well, I'm 2 blocks from my 90-year-old mother here.
Full House, actor Sean Penn.
I don't know how
Ladies and gentlemen.
And radio's Don Imus.
In the morning.
Then I'm going to have this LASIK surgery.
We leave you this Sunday morning in Genesee County in western New York, home to a snowy and presumably wise old owl.
I'm Jane Pauley. We hope you've enjoyed and learned from our journey into mind matters. And we hope you'll join us when our trumpet sounds again next Sunday morning.